What's up? It's Tom here, and it's Tutorial Tuesday. Okay, today I'm going to show you how to get a fuller sound out of your synth and to create space in the mix. This is a really useful technique that I think everybody should use. So here's an example of the synth and synth and bass and how it made it way fatter than it normally would. And normally that would just sound, it's kind of like a big room, definitely a big room sound. But so what I did here was I had a bass, two bass tones. Yeah, for some reason I had one for highs and one for lows. I made this in Reason, I believe. Yeah, so I split them up for some reason. I think I was going to do some processing to the higher end one, but I didn't because I use this other technique. So you have your bass tone. You have to have them all the same notes, obviously. Then you figure out, you go into a lead section. And what I did here was I split the left and the right channel. You duplicate one. You have your regular synth, so it'll sound like this. So that's just your high synth on top. When that's coming down the middle at you, it sounds pretty fat, but because you have your bass down the middle, because usually bass just stay down the middle, this is a better way to fill out the whole spectrum of the stereo field. So what I do, I'll start. So here is one. I'll just turn these off, and I'll show you how to do it quickly. So here it is with it down the middle, with it all down the middle. Sounds pretty good, but you can't really hear shit. It's just not as distinct. But if you put in, so what I do is you have your main synth track. I just bounce the audio because it's just easier to work with. You don't have to. It takes way less CPU. If you look at here, this is another great thing. Memory clean. It cleans up your memory. I'm already using 6 gigabytes of shit. Just it's nothing's barely doing. I'm not even doing much with it. So yeah, so you have your synth, your lead. You do whatever processing you have to do with it first, because it's a pain in the ass to do this and then duplicate the track, and then you have to do the same shit to the same track. So just do it all on one first and mix it in, and then duplicate it, and then you'll have 2 tracks. And then push one all the way up to the right and pull the other one all the way down to the left. So now if you listen to it, it's going to sound exactly the same as if you just had one track. So how you make it super fat and different is over here. I think which one is it? It's this IO. No, it's the bottom one. So this little bottom D here. You click that out, and these weird numbers will come up. So you want to drop it down. The left one you can go down. I usually go down by -5 and the top one up by +5, so that there's a 10 millisecond difference. And what that does, it shifts one. So this first track, it'll shift it 5 milliseconds forward, and this one will 0.5 milliseconds backwards. So then, because the way the waveforms are being processed at the same time, they'll just give it a fuller sound. So if you listen to it, you probably won't be able to tell on these speakers, but try it yourself and you'll definitely hear a difference. So with that, I already taken out the lows here. So that combined with this, it gives it a fuller sound. So the sound over the whole stereo spectrum is just fucking dope. And what you can do with this is also, what I did over here is just mess around with different things. So right here you would have, I had 2 different synths, because if you have 2 of the same synths, sometimes the frequencies might cancel each other out. So you just kind of got to be aware of that. Listen to your master in mono, and if you can't hear anything, then they're clearly canceling phasing each other out. So that's why sometimes I get a different synth here. So this one is very similar, but it's a little bit different than this one. Same notes, obviously, but when you play them together, there's a little bit off the end, and they have, yeah, they create a much, much fuller sound. So I use this technique anytime I want to make a big, huge, fat bass synth, or synth with like bass underneath it. But I also use it when I want to bring out different elements of the track. So, for example, if I did start with this, like just one of these tones, and then if this bottom one wasn't on, I'll delete it. If this bottom one wasn't on, and all I had was this going down the middle, and this one over top. If I was introducing another lead sound, like another bleepy sound like this one, if I want, because that's the new sound that I want to come in and I want people to be predominantly hearing. So at this point, I would duplicate this twice, and then I would delete the first little bit. So this part would be just coming straight down the middle. And then this part I would delete here, but I would pan these ones left and right, so that this new sound is now like on the same like spectrum as this one, and it's coming down the middle. But these two are still pan, and these ones are pan right and left with the timing going up and down. And then this just creates way more space for this in the mix. You should still EQ everything and get your mix down properly first, and then kind of go back and do this. And it just makes, it's like a professional technique that would make your tune sound way more professional. So that's what I did in this. I do that in like any progressive house tracks. There's always like different elements coming in and out. So with progressive house tracks, there's like leads and different like build-ups coming in on top of each other. So to make space, you just pop one to the left and right and bring the new sound in. Basses, I wouldn't do this for basses, and because the lower frequencies get fucked up when you pan shit, and it's just not a good idea to do the low frequencies. So usually I leave the basses in mono. I do this also for like claps and shit, because then you just want them to be spread out. Sometimes I won't, like in this one I think I did, yeah, I went 50. And yeah, so like panning is such a like useful technique. So this one I only went 35 for one of the what is this one? I think this is just claps. Yeah, so for these ones, I usually leave one pair of claps and snares down the middle to like be cohesive with the kick, and then these other ones I'll go pan them to the side just to give it more width. And these are higher frequencies, so they won't interrupt with most of these noises. One more thing before I bounce out of here is I'll show you this other lead. Where is it? Yes, so this, where is it? No, that's not it. Where is it? Oh yeah, it's in the bass part. So I had, as I was saying, like I recorded 2 different types of these ones. I also I made this fucking epic-y little drop here. I'll let you hear it. So there I did the same thing. I duplicated it 3 times and had one down the middle and then 2 panned to the sides. But I think I had, what did I have on here? No, yeah, I just panned. So I gave it I was trying out something to get a fuller sound. But on the second drop of this, with the different notes, I recorded the main notes in lower octave and then the 2 side ones at a higher octave. So it'll have like 2 full side ones and then 1 low one in the middle, which is pretty fucking cool. Here, check this out. So yeah, that sounds super tight. Yeah, give this a shot. Hit me up if you got any questions on it. This is a little kind of takes a while to figure out. Don't go nuts on it. Don't just start doing everything on this because you'll have mad phase issues. If you can get a stereo imager, I think I had one on here. No, I didn't have one. And it just like shows you which Ozone has a sweet one. It shows you which ones like the spectrum of what stuff is canceling out. Usually you can have a couple things canceling out, but generally your overall mix should not be having lots of phase and cancellation issues. All right, this song is coming out on Flatland Funk's label in a little bit, so you should check it out and grab it. Yeah, subscribe to all my stuff. Check me on Facebook. You know the drill. Peace.